Good evening, all. Good evening. Little extra stream tonight. I feel like streaming. I just want to work a bit on the track from yesterday. I really need some good drums. If I want to get to making a good drop for this, I need some good banging drums. So I think I want to do that today. But who knows? Maybe we'll get started with some other stuff as well. I did a little bit of work on it since yesterday. I played around a little bit this afternoon with it. So, welcome. Not going to be streaming as long as yesterday because, like I said, I need to work tomorrow. So, I can stream till, I don't know, maybe midnight or something. So that will be, what, 2.5 hours, something like that. Welcome. Hope you're doing good. Go guitar riffs. I'm not sure if we, need guitars in this. I don't think so. But welcome everybody. Let's go to there. Let me set our thing up here. Let's do that. How was your day? I woke up way too late. I was like, I'm gonna do a lot of work today on this tune, and then I'll stream tonight. Do like a long stream and like start early or something. But I woke up at like 3 p.m. or something, and it just didn't work out that way. I ate dinner at like 8 p.m. So yeah, whatever, you know. Been playing Cyberpunk since 10 a.m. Dude. I went to bed at like 8 a.m. or something. 8:30, I'm not even sure what it was. Anyways, yeah, I did a little bit of work on it since yesterday. I'll play what I have so far. It's basically the up until here is what we have. You can see I have a bunch of extra vocals in here. I have been playing around with just trying out a couple of different vocals and just okay, there we go, loading that. Just trying out a couple of different vocals and just seeing different things. And this one, Bring Me the Horizon a cappella, just for some reason fits really well, and the kind of vocal style kind of fits super well as well. So I'm like, it kind of needs something like that. It's also close to what I had in mind, but I'm obviously not going to be able to use that a cappella. We all know that. So I'll play it with the vocal that I had yesterday, which was that sample pack vocal. So that's just temporary, or I'll probably get somebody to record vocals for it when the track is done. But for now, we just need something there. Otherwise, I'm gonna be ending up adding too many things in the intro, and it's just gonna be way too crowded for a vocalist to even put something on top of it. So, I did a bit of work though. I'll just play this thing first up until here, and then I'll show you what I changed. So there's a couple of things that are now different. I want you to stay. 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 Not sure. Is that really quiet? How loud is that? The audio of Ableton. Is that too quiet? Because it looks a little bit quiet on my meters in OBS for some reason. Sounds fine to me. Whoop. No, but like compared to my voice. Like, is it not too quiet compared to my voice? A little quiet. Okay. I'll there you go. I'll give it 2 more decibels. I want you to stay. I want you to stay. Can you still hear me talk now over it? That's the one thing that matters. I want you to stay. 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 Okay, 1 extra dB then. Right. So that's what we have now. You might notice that there's a couple of things that are different now. I am playing around a bit with the saw plugs that we made yesterday. I went into the MIDI and I have basically started messing with the notes. Most the top notes. So the bottom notes are still the same, but the top notes are now sort of like doing some extra things here and there. Like if you remember yesterday, this one was just right there, that one was just right there, right? It was just all just hitting those same notes, and then that last one was up there as well. So I just messed with the notes a little bit so that we now have a different... So it has a little bit more of a melody to it. I'm still tempted to make a new patch for this because it's a little bit messy, and I know why that is. I added an extra layer in pigments. Yesterday we only had the top layer here, this FM saw wave, so it sounded more like this yesterday. And actually we had it without this, so it sounded like this, but then longer, more like that. That's what we had yesterday, more like that kind of a groove. And I found like, it kind of sounds nice with a square wave that is an octave lower. But because I have these this MIDI right here, what you need to see this as is that what now happens is basically we get a copy of this MIDI an octave lower, and you can see how messy that starts to look. So what I'm tempted to do is split up the bottom notes and the top notes in a separate patch, so that I can literally just say like, okay, these notes need to have an extra octave, but the top notes are just gonna have a single octave, and that way it's gonna be a lot cleaner. I'm tempted to do that because you can see that's just getting way too messy. And there's also then a couple of notes that are sort of like one semitone next to each other, which is obviously gonna clash a bit. But it kind of works still, so I'm fine with it for now. And I decided I wanted to play around a bit, so I also added one extra layer here with the sampler, just some weird sample-based layer, which is very wide. It sits mostly in the sides, and if we sum the whole thing to mono, it kind of disappears. But if it's in stereo, it kind of just fills out the sides a bit. See, it's still there, but if we go in here and if I play in mono, I kind of don't hear it anymore. But in stereo, it sort of like fills it out a little bit, and the mono is already pretty strong of this patch, so it's not really that important because this whole oscillator here is mono. So that way we don't have to worry that much about the mono of this patch. But I then decided, what if I put an arpeggiator in front of this and set it to Hertz mode, so it's free running. There's no synced timing here, it's just free running. And I've set it up in such a way that it re-triggers every note, and I let it repeat only one time. So it's just basically playing both the notes one time with a difference of 10 milliseconds between the notes. And suddenly we go from that into that, because the notes are not hitting at exactly the same moment, so they're sort of like offset a little bit from each other. And if I start messing with the rate, which I don't think I've automated yet, then we get some pretty cool effects. So I'm thinking of using that. That's kind of nice. Not sure if I did. Don't think I did much more. And that's just a sub of that saw plug, so that's not too important. That's all still the same. I added this piano thing. Just the chords, basically, of the intro. There's one extra horn layer now in the intro as well. So we have those strings from yesterday. These ones. And that's now layered with a horn patch so that it sounds more like this. Might still work a little bit on that there, but it kind of sounds nice. So yeah, that's basically all I changed. Didn't really change much else. I can quickly play it with the other acapella. We might get the stream copyright claim though. But I'll show you what I mean. Just this first moment, and just a couple of seconds. I'm not gonna play too much of it, but immediately you'll hear how much better it sounds with a proper vocal instead of a sample pack vocal. Oh, let me play it. Let's do that. Some people are a lot like clouds, you know. It's already pitched up, so maybe we can get away with it. See, immediately it sounds so much better. And that's just, yeah, we need a proper vocal for it at some point. See, it just works so much better immediately because that's just an actual track, right? Instead of like a sample pack vocal. But I'm not going to be able to use this acapella. But I threw it on and I was like, oh wait, that works really good. Actual vocal flow, yeah, exactly. Instead of a single acapella or a single vocal sample that I use Melodyne on to completely change it so that we have a couple of variations instead of one sample. But it's like, yeah, sometimes you just need to throw in an acapella of like a track that kind of makes that fits, so that you get an idea of like what it sounds like with a good vocal. Because I already, with this vocal in there, I already sort of like think, maybe the strings don't need to be there, or maybe the strings need a lot less reverb because the vocal actually takes up quite a bit of space already, right? And that's something that I wouldn't think when I use this vocal, which sounds a lot less big and processed. You thinking of going with female or male vocals? I don't necessarily care too much. As long as it's more in that higher pitch range, if you get what I mean. Like my voice, for instance, first of all, I cannot sing, but second of all, my voice is too low. if I would record my own voice for it, then it's just muddied, buried in the mix, because my voice is just too low. And I don't have a big range either. So even if I could sing, my range is not that. I cannot go that high. Like what Oliver Sykes does with his vocals, I will not be able to hit. Like my voice is gonna crack before I even get to that pitch. Like I was looking at it earlier when I was installing minimeters, and I had the settings were not right yet, so my mic was also running through it, and I could see sort of like the pitch of my voice when I speak, and my voice sits somewhere around, like when I speak with a sort of like a relaxed voice, it sits somewhere around like 90 to 100 hertz, which I didn't even know. I thought it was way higher, but apparently that's where my voice sits. I cannot get too much higher than like, what is it? I don't know, 250. Maybe by accident that could work. Maybe by accident I can hit 300, but not on purpose. So yeah. No, I would have to outsource the vocals and get somebody, a proper vocalist to record it. And I'll see at that point. I'll see at that point what I'll do. The thing is, having these vocals in here, like, and there's a couple of other ones. This is another acapella. I had another couple of sample pack vocals just to. It doesn't really matter, what the vocal is, as long as it's a vocal that kind of fills it up and kind of does the job of what the vocal is gonna have to do at some point, right? It doesn't really matter. That's the same thing with like what the lyrics are doing at this moment. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that it helps you get a better impression of what it sounds like. See, you can just as well put that in there. Doesn't matter. As long as it works with the chords, that's all that matters. Just so that you have something.
It's late.
That one is really shitty. I'll do the sample pack one because otherwise we're probably gonna get the stream claimed. The audio stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended. Okay. Why? Why? Okay, it's gone. Excellent connection. I was about to say. YouTube was saying that I just went to the YouTube dashboard to check if it claimed the stream, but it didn't. So we're good. I'll play it with the original sample pack one from yesterday because that one kind of fits the best. So I want to make some drums and I need to think about the drop. That's the main thing where we are now. And I'll make a better patch for that saw plug later. That's a little bit less messy. Not sure if that's gonna be this stream though. Might do that off stream. So I want to make some drums that I guess sound better than what I have here, because these drums are absolute ass, as you can hear. So that's not what we're gonna be using. So let's mute that. I do like this whole fill here. I think I'm gonna get rid of this one, because I basically have this snare drum fill that is quite long, but it just builds throughout that entire 16 bar section basically. And it's the same snare that comes in later in the drum fill, which is layered with just an extra sample for now, just to kind of beef it up a bit. And those are the same pitch, so they kind of layer well together already, even though I didn't really not do anything to them. I just stacked them on top of each other and it worked. So I might use that as the snare, maybe with an extra layer. So let's just put that in there. And let me just get rid of all of these other clips, because like that. Yeah, no, I don't like it at all when I hear it like that. It works in the fill, but as the main snare, that's not gonna work. It's too. We need to process this so that we either, because I do want to have the resonance from this one, but we need to sort of like take that fundamental out of it so that it doesn't clutter up with this one. Okay. Okay, so that is the snare from that break. Yeah, we'll just do some EQ as well. But what kind of drum pattern are we gonna do? That's what I'm thinking about first. Let's see. I might also have like some extra things coming in the build, maybe even instead of this one. Not sure if it's gonna continue in the build yet, but so this kick drum, it's a bit. I want to make a better kick as well for this, so let's just make one. Be down to make a metalcore DMB track in the future? I don't know. Maybe. yo, why are you lagging? That'll do for now, we can tweak it later. Let's do, let's go. I want needs to have a little bit of a clap layer for sure. Like we have this one here. Which we could use for the transient, but could also make one. So that we have more control over it. But let's find like a good one to use as like the main snare, and then we'll probably layer a clap on it or something. It's kind of cool. And it is mono, so it's gonna be good in both stereo and mono. We just have to make some stereo for it. Okay, let's add a hat in here as well. So I think I had a hat, yeah. Which sounds way too simple, but let's see. Let's just make a different one. Let's do a drum rack. so that we can add more samples to it. So I wanna like I had on, I think every quarter note. Just grab a bunch of ones. Maybe. No, I'm on I'm having a Dr. Pepper vanilla float. Love that one. That could be fun. We probably have already enough, but oh, those are kind of cool. The shorter ones. Let's just do this. Don't want snapping, and let's give it a little bit of a fade out. Copy to all siblings. So I want a really swingy drum pattern. So I'll quickly just add something that. Where's it? Sample packs. I think it was 4. Yeah. Let's quickly do these properly. So let's make one right there. That one is also on the beat. This one is a little later. Let's do that. 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 Loop is not too long, so. And I'll add some swing to it. because I want to have quite a bit of swing in this one. More. Doesn't have to be exactly right, but just so that now I can do that, so that they're all on the beat. I'll do beats mode and one-shot mode. Maybe make them a little shorter so we can tighten it up as well. And if I now add the groove to it, so right here in this panel, I can select the groove that I have enabled. And right away we get that. So I'm gonna do it a little bit less. But like that, compared to this, it's maybe even a little bit too much actually. I'm gonna go into my grooves. I'm gonna take the medium version of it. Let's take the medium version. That one is a little bit less heavy. And at around like 69 to 75%. Maybe a little lower even. That's a nice amount of swing. Just enough to give it a good amount of groove. So if I now select the same groove here in the kick, for instance, I can start arranging some extra kicks here, and they will also get that same groove applied. So if it's a kick that hits sort of like on a 16th, it gets the same groove, which is really nice. And it will basically, yeah, if as long as I use that groove and do it all the drums in MIDI first, and then later bounce them to audio, then they will all align, and then I can always start playing a little bit with them to kind of make them a little bit off from each other if that sounds better. Like for instance, I want to have a bit of a clap layer in it, I think. It will have a snare drum transient for sure to kind of give it power, but it needs a pretty heavy clap. Not like a really long clap, but a really short, but really, well, really crunchy clap, if you get what I mean. And that one is probably going to hit slightly earlier than the snare drum, right? It's going to be that little, so that we get a little bit of, I don't know, groove. So that's kind of what I wanted to do for today, make those drums, because that's a whole process, making drums like that. So let's try and do it. I'm gonna move all the drums that we're using for that all the way to the top. So this is my hats. Let's call it hat samples, because that's just all one shots. Because I also have an addictive drum still, which is this one. Let's call that addictive drums hats, which are not used in this section, but they might be nice to fill drums up and give it a bit more of a natural layer as well, as opposed to just having those one shots. Now, what you can do with these one shots, what I do a lot of times actually, is I don't usually do it right now because it adds quite a bit of latency. So it will actually delay everything in Ableton, which is quite annoying. But if you have a bunch of one shots and you want to make them sound a bit more cohesive, put Synth 2 on it, which, if you don't have it yet, pick this up, because honestly, this plugin is so good. And just bring the sharpness up to like 10, so the highest amount, and then just start raising this, and you'll see that it cuts out sort of like resonances, and the more you cut the resonance out, the more the heads will start sounding cohesive. They will also sound a bit more noisy, but I don't know, it really works. So if you have this, and then See, that's maybe a bit too much. And then you can use this to kind of specify where you want to cut them. So let's say if we don't want to have the highest being cut, you can really zone in on a region and say like, oh, that's where we want to cut the resonances from. And then just afterwards boost the high frequencies a little bit again to kind of make up for it. And you're kind of sort of like balancing the head samples out a bit, but because this is dynamic, it responds to the incoming signal. It works really well. But I don't want to do it yet, because otherwise, like I said, we're going to have like an extra 2 seconds of latency, which means that if this playhead is here, or the playhead will be here probably, and then we'll hear the first beat, which is really annoying. Okay, so these are the shakers, the Think shakers. Well, it's a customized Think shaker, but it is originally coming from the Think break, that shaker. So if you want to have this one, by the way, go to my Patreon. Yeah, so we need a clap layer. Some kind of a clap layer. And I am gonna do that one in audio, because then I can actually see where it is in terms of delay. Or no, I can do it in MIDI as well. I can use the track delay. That's pretty fine as well. Let's see. Claps. Packs. Let's go claps. Yeah, let's just see. I'm gonna go to the bottom of this folder. Like that is, it doesn't need to be a clap like that. We need something. It's really loud, but it is closer. Like if it's not tight enough, that's not important. We can make it shorter, but what is important that it sounds good in the context of the rest of the drums. So where's that other one? Let's bring this one in as well, so that we have a bit of a snare drum in here, so that we can hear where the snare drum actually hits, and then how much that clap is earlier than it. So see, that's too much. Needs to be long, something like 9 or 8 milliseconds before the snare. That one. Can also maybe hit a little after the snare. That could also work. But most of the time with claps you want to have it a little bit before. Yeah, we'll do that for now. Okay. Okay, so I want to see, because I think what other ones do we have? I think in this snare drum folder there's also a bunch of ones that sound like snares with claps already on it, and that might also work. So see, like that one that clearly has a clap on it. Ooh, that's a nice ghost snare. That's a really nice ghost snare. Let's just keep that in there. Copied this off Google? What? What are you talking about? Whatever. Oh, okay. Cool. Ooh, like that's more in the territory where we need to go, but this one is a bit too. I can try. Mm. Yeah, that one's a bit too weird. Let's see. Dang. Why do I? Why are those double? It's a different number though. Weird. I mean, it's from a free pack anyway, so it doesn't matter. Seriously, like making drums is such a lengthy process. Finding the right hits. And I'm gonna do that in audio because I'm getting annoyed by all these. I'm just gonna do it in audio. It's easier with the layering. Show in browser. Because that one is kind of nice. So let's take that one. That one sucks. Okay. Now we can also just literally say like, okay, we want that part in front of it, for instance. But it also should I make a transient for it? That might work maybe. Yo, why are you lagging? Come on. There we go. Actually, this one, let's do. Let's make it pretty short. Something like that. And then this one is basically our pitch envelope. So we'll put that on there. And as you can see, I made a little part where it stays at the maximum value. That's going to help with giving the snare drum a lot of punch. So if I have this on here and then bring the speed down, you're going to get see, you get that instead of that. And then you can shape this thing here however you want. Let's see what sounds cool. Are we gonna? Let's give it some release. So. And then let's take this one, send the noise through it, do high pass 24, resonance. Pass a little. Pretty good basic layer. Now, obviously, it's gonna disappear when we do that, but let's call this snare main. It's just the main layer that we made. Or should I do snare MIDI? That might be better because we're also gonna have this used so that we can trigger some other things, so that we can trigger like sidechain from it. So let's hook that up. Let's set this one to not to that one, but to the snare MIDI. So that's gonna trigger the sidechain as well. This one we're not using. We need to make it work with this one. I mean, it's not bad. Bit of reverb on it, very subtle reverb, very short. But let's see if we do a little tiny bit of sidechain on that clap layer to kind of see if we can gel them even better together. Let's take a glue compressor here, and let's grab the input from the snare sidechain. And let's just make that pretty short. I'll bring this up a bit. Yeah, it's definitely better. It definitely adds a little... Can't have it too long. Needs to be pretty damn short. Bit lower ratio. Okay. Let's give it... Let's do a short reverb on it and see what we get. Yeah, I'll group that so that we can do the same thing as what I always do with this. I need to just make a rack for that, to be honest. Just have like a dry wet rack with the dry chain already, and the chains already mapped to that chain selector. Yeah, like this. Save. Dry, wet, rack. Oh, for fuck's sake. There we go. Don't have to make that one again. So now we can just throw the reverb in there, and then we can start messing with it. And this is the amount of the reverb, so it's way too much, obviously. But we want to have like a really short one. Take that fundamental out of it a bit, so we get mostly the high frequencies. Can Well, that's way too long, obviously, but what I would do is use like some, I don't know, use a, what do you call it, LFO tool or something to control it a little bit. Although maybe that won't work because of the pre-delay on the clap, but let's see if it will. Let's try it out. See if we can have an LFO tool on top of it. And then we'll go into the snare MIDI track here, group this one. And add an external instrument in here and send that to snare group into LFO tool. Can just bring that up. No tree trigger on envelope mode. Yeah, that way it still works because it goes back up. So we can really control how long that reverb tail is. And we can even just play around with these settings. So even if we just have like a longer reverb tail, not too long because otherwise it's gonna come back up here. It kind of fills it up more, but then we cut it short again by really gating it in a way. Which gives us that really tight sort of like drum sound that I'm after. It's not exactly there yet, but it's also because it's running a bit through, there's a bit too much of it on the snare as well. So let's go in here and let's add an EQ after the room. I'm just gonna I can still hear it coming up a little bit at the end there, so I'm gonna go shorten that reverb a little bit. Yeah, that's better. So it almost doesn't sound like reverb on it at all, but if I take this off, see? It really does fill up that tail a little bit. Actually, let's do it like that more. So we really get the reverb from the clap. And the noise from the tail, I get, from the noise from the snare. Okay, that's starting to sound a little bit nicer. Let's see how that sounds in the mix with the other drums. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. It's getting a bit more in the direction. It still needs to be a bit bigger, but it's going more in the direction where I wanted the drums to go in. Now, this is probably gonna have to change a little bit as well, which is fine. I just, like this, I have this pattern here, which is, as you can see, it's off grid. That's why that drum fill sounds good. If I have these straight on the grid, it sounds just not interesting at all. It's really that little bit off grid that these notes have that makes it sound interesting, so I can just copy that over to these ones as well and make it work with that. That's not a big deal. This is a Go snare, which quite like it. It could also be a good layer in the snare, maybe. Let's show in browser. Let's try it out. Like, I don't mind that. Do a little bit like that so that we... Or use... It's more the tail part that I like, actually. It's better. Okay, that one probably wants to have a little bit of sidechain as well. So that it's ducked down a little bit when that one hits. See, very subtly on that first part. Now we have... It does work, that one. Let's see what pitch we're going to use it at, because pitching it is always going to matter a lot as well. So if we do one semitone up, it already... See how that sits different in that... I'm not sure what the pitch is of this one. See if we can See that? A sharp. We're in D sharp, so that would work. That's why it lays nice on this pitch. Okay, cool. I'll leave it like that. So we're getting a D sharp fundamental from this one. And then we have an A sharp sort of like resonance from this one on top of it, which kind of works. And then this almost sounds like, even though it's noise, right? But it almost sounds like it's in a similar range as that other one, so that works well. That layer is pretty good. Now we can, by processing this together, we can really make it work very well. Play around with the levels, of course. Need that much of this one. Let's do some transient shaping on it. Let's do... almost bring it up, actually. Yeah, so it needs more, let's see. Let's EQ this as well. So these two, good. Let's take this one. Yeah, that has a whole bunch of low end in it, which we don't need. Let's boost the high end of that clap. So this one. Actually, you know what? Let's not boost the high end here. That means we can also leave oversampling off so that it's just layering the same as what it was layering already, and then I'm gonna do that on the group instead. Because the more processing we do on the group instead of on the individual layers, the more it gels together. Like, it's better to just say, like, okay, now we just need some more high end here. We can turn oversampling off so that little bit of extra latency is not gonna, you know, give us any issues with the layering either. And if we boost this region here, it's also boosting the noise of the snare drum that we added with Serum. So that kind of helps to gel everything really well together. Instead of just, you know, going into the separate layers and doing it everywhere. It's everywhere separate, but that's oh, there is nothing there. Maybe a little bit, but can also try making this one in A sharp as well, which is that. Then this one needs to be shorter. But I think I like it more when it's lower. So let's do D sharp. Yeah, that's already pretty well, a lot better than what we had. So let's go. This one, let's lay it out with a bit of noise only on the first beat. So I'm just gonna take let's take a Serum. Something like that. Then we're gonna go and run that through a high pass. that. Let's group those together. See what happens if we do a little bit of saturation on the two together. Let's grab a sine wave. Let's distort this one in here. Go. And then let's high pass it again. So we're basically getting rid of the sub again afterwards, but because of that sub and the noise running together in the distortion inside Serum, it gets that bit of a more crunchy sound. And that sound is also relative to the pitch that we use. So if I want to have that crunchy sound to be sort of like lower, I can use a lower note, and it's also going to be lower. So it's going to be slower, I mean, which is nice. So we can use that. Let's use one of my own, that is stereo. Come on, there you go. Just up a little. It's more like that. Okay, let's see. So in mono, that's pretty good. And in stereo, or in the sides, it's absolutely horrible. The sides are a mess. So let's clean the sides up because that's not good. So where's that coming from? Okay, so that one, obviously, that noise has a bit of stuff in the sides that is not nice at all. So let's just clean that up. So let's go and do another EQ. This one I'll do mid-side. And in the sides, I'm just literally gonna high-pass the crap out of it. It's more like that, maybe. I mean, that's pretty good. There's not too much of the fundamental in the sides, but probably just leave that one, to be honest. Maybe just ever so slightly, but we don't really need to do much there. The hats. See, that's where a lot of that nastiness on the first beat also comes from. Even though it's not too much, actually, but... That's already pretty good, actually. This one. And I might even do, ooh, I have a really good idea, actually. I have a really good idea how we can clean the first beat up. Because that first beat, I don't know what it is, but in the sides, like if we hear the sides of the drums and then listen to the first kick. It just, like, that noise is there, obviously, but... See, there's other stuff happening as well. Now, that noise sounds cool on its own, but when it layers with the other parts, it kind of gets a bit messy in the sides. So what you could do, this is something pretty nice actually. We could, for instance, split the... I guess we could just split the mid and side of like certain parts of the drums and sidechain just the side channel. So we'll leave the mid channel intact, but then the side channel will be sidechained so that, for instance, maybe the hats will not have any side information on that first kick, for instance. Now this one is, I think, cluttering it up quite a bit. Because that has a really clear like hit on every beat as well. So if we go on this one, let's see if it works, if we clean that up that way. So let's just do this. Let's do mid-side mode. And I'm gonna group that. And we're gonna do mids. And then we're gonna duplicate it and we're gonna do sides. So this is gonna be mid. And that is gonna be side. And then we can sidechain this one on the side channel to the kick, which is not working for some reason. It is working here, but not sure why it's not working afterwards. Oh, because the kick is... Oh, it's still hooked up to the old one. Now it should work. There we go. See? So now it ducks away when the kick hits, but only in the sides. So if I play this again with the mids, and then bring the mids back, set it to stereo here, we still have the full shakers. It's just that in the sides there's nothing happening when the kick hits. And that will clean that up quite a bit. So if we now play the entire drums, and let's listen to the sides. I mean, that's not bad. I might even only want to have it on that one and not on that one. to be honest. But I mean, you're not really gonna hear it in when it's in stereo. You're not really gonna notice that that one is gone. See? Because the mids is still there, so it doesn't really matter. And we can do that on the heads as well, for instance. Like if I find it's still a bit too messy, I can do the same on the head, for instance, or I don't know, on other layers. Yeah, it works really well. I have been really getting a lot into like, you know, like splitting things up in mid side as well because, for instance, with like distortion, it's really cool. If you have like a sound with a bit of reverb on it, for instance, splitting it up afterwards in like mid side and then putting distortion on the side channel can really make the stereo super interesting. And if the stereo is like pretty subtle to begin with, it will probably still work really well in mono as well. And yeah, it can really make things quite nice. And this is another thing that I do a lot when I'm making drums, is stacking pitch envelopes, especially for kick drums. You'll have one that is like your main, sort of like slower pitch envelope, that does like the main sort of like pitch fall, and then you just stack another one on top of it that does a really short one for the transient. And you can just do it all with one oscillator. I see sometimes when people make drums, and I'll see them making tutorials on YouTube about it, and it's like, yeah, you take this and then you make like a pitch envelope on the oscillator, but we need a transient, so we're gonna use a second oscillator and we're gonna make a transient and then we're gonna try and perfectly crossfade the two into each other. Why the fuck would you do that? Just stack two pitch envelopes on top of each other on one oscillator and you get a perfectly in phase kick drum every time. You don't have to fade anything. And it's like, I don't get it why people when they make kick drums and then they go like, oh, let's make a transient for it. You're only gonna make things hard for yourself. Like, this is literally just as if there's like another sort of like transient right here. Like as if there's another sort of like thing right there, a curve that's really short and just adds like a very short at the start. It's so simple, but it works really well. Like, see, both two of these, if we take the second one out, works so well. I mean, it starts sounding a little bit better already now. We don't need this one anymore, but before I do that, I almost removed this one. Let me just copy that to here. That sounds weird without volume velocity difference. I can add some velocity sensitivity to this serum patch. It's no big deal. It's not full velocity though, so let's make these the full velocity. And then I'm gonna do the same here. So that last one needs to hit on the... There we go. And then if I now add velocity sensitivity to it, it should sound pretty good. And pretty similar to the old snare that I had here. That one was layered as well with this one, of course. Absolutely lifeless, no volume movement at all. So let's take that one, the velocity, and I'm just gonna go into the matrix here. We have the two volumes here, right? So I'm just gonna do aux source velocity, and on the level as well of the noise. So now the amount of these two applied to the volumes is going to be dependent on how high the velocity is. So we get that. I feel like the drum fill could continue until the drop with single hits on every beat to kind of pound in the drop. No, I have an idea what this is gonna do. You can see we have that extra kick right in front of the drop. That one hits like right after the fill, so you're kind of gonna get, and then it's gonna go into the drop, and then on that kick we're gonna have sort of like yeah, I guess how best to describe it, like almost a note that is probably gonna be playing the main bass or one of the main basses that I use at the end of a section to kind of as a transition bass. But then like a higher note that leads us into the first note of the main bass, if you get what I mean. That's gonna hit on the downbeat of the drop. So we're gonna have that little fill, and that on that kick that sound comes in, and it needs to be a weird, like a bit higher pitch sound, like still bass, but like an octave too high for like an octave above your regular bass pitch, I guess. So it kind of slides down into the drop. Yeah, basically. Probably a bit wider as well, so that but like a good amount of low mid harmonics in it, if you get what I mean. Maybe a bit of unison, so it's a bit wider. So that one is pretty good. Now, did I use that layer? No, I didn't, right? No. Do I still have it? Or did I remove it already? I think I already removed it. This one though, like, almost want to have the resonance from that one in this snare clap kind of thing as well. Because that is too much, like, we don't need it with the fundamental, but so many layers for one snare, but I mean, it's gonna make sense. Oh yeah, this one we can remove now, because that's the old one. I don't need that anymore. This one I'm just gonna... Let's see. do that. Freeze flatten it. Like, this drop is also going to be pretty melodic. Like, I have something in mind for this drop. I have no clue how the fuck I'm going to have to make it, because it's obviously going to be another one of those really ambitious ideas that I have. But I do have a vibe in mind. The only question is, yeah, making it. But we'll get there, don't worry. And it's going to be quite melodic, so it's going to have like a bass line that will have low notes, but then a few higher notes as well. There will probably be some octave jumps in the bass line, and maybe even some maybe even some double notes in the bass, so that you have like a low note with a high note on top. That's kind of then creating a harmony. Maybe even with a different instrument. But there's gonna be, because that already kind of, this whole intro feels like we need something like that.
I want you to stay, I want you to stay. I want you to stay, I want you to stay.
Let's do a little recap for the people that are just coming in.
I want you to stay, I want you to stay. I want you to stay, I want you to stay.
Oh yeah, now obviously we don't have a kick drum here. Let me take this kick that we made, and let's drop that right there. It sounds so weird with that one extra snare layer in there that we haven't worked on yet. But I had to make the build before we heard it. Okay, so I have another handy trick that we can add to the kick drum. So in the build, we might want to have the kick drum a little bit softer. We might not want to have like the full kick in the build, because it's maybe a bit much, and it's also going to help a lot to make the drop feel bigger as soon as it hits, if the kick drum is a little bit softer in the build that is right before the drop. Especially on that part where it goes to like the 8 notes and the 16th note rolling kick drum, like the trrrrk, like that is, if that has like the full-on transient, it's gonna be it's gonna be it's gonna be a lot, right? It's gonna be very punchy, and if you have 16 notes of really punchy transients, it's gonna take up most of your mix, and you're not gonna have much space left. So really ambitious ideas is how you learn new things, by either by doing it until it's what you want, or discovering something else that's cool along the way. Exactly. I like doing things that push me out of my comfort zone, so that I need to try different techniques and different things. It's cool. But let's take that kick here, and in Serum, I'm just gonna take the attack here, and I'm gonna map a macro knob to the attack. Not all the way, but like a little bit. And then we can use that to kind of soften the attack. So it's called attack. Let's see how much this is right now. See, so you can even go completely to there. So taking it out completely. And you can just... And that is really helpful towards the end of the build-up as well, because I would usually in the build just have it like maybe something like that, maybe even like that, And then towards the end of the build, you can, during this section, you can automate it so that the kick gets softer. And it kind of helps to make that last section a lot less in your face compared to like that, right? Then you'll just bring it back down. You can even have the full intro kick just be a little bit softer, and then have the drop kick be basically have the full transient. Which works really well. And if you combine that with a little bit of filters as well, like doing a little bit of high pass towards the end of the build, it's gonna make the drop hit a lot harder.
I want you to stay. 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 I want you to stay.
I'm thinking, do we want to have that clap or part of the clap, maybe only the clap itself, in this section? Let's see what that sounds like. Way too fucking loud. Way too loud. We might. Oh yeah, let me go back in here. Let me see if we can add that one extra layer here. That thing. Let's go in. Let's take a proper EQ for this. So we don't need that one. Can use a low cut, maybe steep. Don't normally advise you to do this because it fucks with the phase a lot, but when you're making drums, it doesn't matter. You can just do whatever the fuck you want. Just doesn't matter if you get like the craziest EQ shapes that look like really weird. Sometimes that's what you need to do to make drums interesting. Like, listen to how cool that actually is. Really don't be afraid when you have a weird looking Like it does add something, but very subtle. But it does add a little bit of extra noise, which is fine. And it's also stereo, so it adds a bit of width. This one sounds so crappy without the other layer. I'm gonna have to make that feel good as well, but I'm probably gonna have to make it from maybe a bounced version of this main snare when it's done, when it sounds good in the mix as well. Which it does sound good. I'm just thinking if I like this one, I might want to do a bit of sidechain on it as well, just like that other layer. Yeah, that's better. I don't like it with the transient shaper, so let's take that off. Let's save. Now it's clipping, obviously, but it's not too big of a problem. We can I'm adding this saturator on the main drum bus anyway, so that's cutting everything off that's clipping, which so it's not even, I don't even need to necessarily make sure that it doesn't clip at the end of that group, because this is taking care of it. See, so nothing here goes over 0 anyway, so it's not that important. There's a little bit of a thing coming up because of that reverb still, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the LFO tool, and I'm gonna make this rate 1/2 instead. And then just do that so that we make sure that we do have enough space for that first part of the clap to come in. And then we need to make that one shorter, of course. But now there's no leftover bit of reverb coming up as well. Let's see if we can dirty the drums up a little. Let's try something. I do this lately. I've been messing with this to kind of see how it sounds, and sometimes sounds pretty cool. It's taking like a return track and adding some kind of distortion. I like the dynamic tube quite a bit for this, and then sending the entire drum group to that track. There you go. Oh, thanks, mate. I was quicker though, but thanks. So now we're sending the entire drums group to this dynamic tube. And I'm gonna raise the bias. So we get a really crunchy try the B4 change. Take an EQ. then we can mix that in. Or even do it at here and then do it with that. That might be better, because if we decrease the level here, it's also going to change how this sounds, because this obviously depends on what level it comes into. So better to just leave that up to 0 and then just use this to balance it in. Like right now, it's not really, you're not really going to hear, not hear it properly, of course, because there's no bass line yet and all that kind of stuff. But when we have a bass line and everything else in the drop, this will really help to sometimes make the drums feel slightly bigger than the bass and the rest of the track, so it can overpower it a little bit, or not overpower it, but like punch through the bass line more properly and more easily, just because there's this extra thing that is layered on top the entire drums, and it's not running through, it's not being clipped by this, so it's sort of like stacked on the clipped drums that are coming out of here, instead of that this one also, because if we layer this on the drums, obviously the level is going to increase again, so it's going to clip again, right? And if this would then be clipped by this one again, you get it's being squashed, and that's not what you want. You want to basically give it that little extra thing. Sometimes I'll even afterwards like add a transient shaper to this to make it like really tight, so that it's really sort of like adding weird, crunchy, distorted transients to the drums and making the drums feel a bit more dynamic, which is cool. So let's say try Native Instruments, Transient Master maybe. Although it's also really gonna, I would rather do it with like a multi-band transient shaper or something, or maybe even split it up so that you can do it per band. Because if you do it like this, you can hear the heads get really quiet. And that's because they're already quieter than the main kick and snare. So this transient shaper sees the kick and snares the transient, and then things like the heads are part of the tail of the kick and snare, right? Because they're already quieter. So that's the one thing with just a regular transient shaper like that not always works properly. Let's do mid-side EQ on this one so that the sides are a bit more like that. Yeah, you could automate. Yeah, you could automate it, for sure. But it just makes the drums sound a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit bigger, and they get a weird, it's like that weird crunch that is added to it, right? It's, I don't know, it sounds really cool. And you don't really notice it that much when you just hear the drums. Like, you don't hear it as a clear layer that it's there, but when you turn it off, listen closely. I don't know, it also helps to gel everything together, which is really nice. It subtly gels things a little bit more together, which is kind of cool. It's one of those techniques that I do quite often, just having weird processing like that. And we can even do weird shit here. Like we could mid-side split that, for instance. Do mid-side split, and then, I don't know, do a different. Oh, let's. Oh, now I have an idea. Because earlier we were messing with that mid-side split, right? So let's try. Let's try doing this, and I'm going to do split mid-side. Let's do mid. So this is the mid channel. Completely mono. Let's do another one. Let's make that one side. We're gonna make that one a different one. Maybe turn the bias up a little. It's not doing anything. Let's. There we go. So the sides are much more crunchy. Like, just be weird with it, you know? Just try different things. And then... like, those drums are starting to sound pretty nice. One thing I want to play around with a little bit, though, at the moment, is... we have this clap track. I want to try messing with it a little bit, seeing what happens if we use the delay here. Every millisecond that we change it, it's going to sort of like align slightly different with the rest of the snare layers. All of those other layers sort of like hit all exactly at the same time, right? But the only one that's different is the clap. The clap is sort of like hitting a little bit before it. But by playing with this, we can slightly offset it and see if it maybe sounds a little bit sort of like tighter or a little bit nicer aligned when it's 1 millisecond later or 1 millisecond earlier, for instance. That's definitely not tighter if we bring it down, but maybe if we bring it up. It does get a little tighter. Ooh. Listen to the difference in the transient of that snare now. Listen to the difference between 2 milliseconds delay on this one, which would mean how much is it? How much earlier is this? Like, what is this section? That is 9 milliseconds. So 2 milliseconds means this part is now a little bit later. So it's now hitting right around there maybe. So like a little bit later, that peak. And listen to the difference between 2 milliseconds later and 3. It's very subtle, but if you listen closely, you can definitely hear it. Listen to the transient mostly of the snare part of this clap. I'll play it in solo. So that's 2. That's 2, and then we'll go back to 3. Hear how it just subtly changed how everything aligns, but for some reason it sounds slightly more punchy because of it. And that can really help when you're designing drums. And I mean, it might not always be necessarily better, but like more punchy is not always better. Sometimes it doesn't need to be more punchy, but I think in this instance it's going to be better. Let's try 4. 5. 6 is also good. Now the clap is now the clap is almost aligned again with the snare. Oh, that sounds nice. Oh yeah, this one is now definitely getting a lot louder. Let's decrease the output level of that one a little bit. Wait, that's the mids. No. That one. I can just use that one. So, 3 or 6. It's very subtle. Yeah, 3 is better. When it's on 3 milliseconds, you hear the snare transient slightly better. So that's good. Yeah, so what kind of drop are we gonna do with this? That's the question.
I want you to stay. 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 I want you to stay.
Yeah, I think I need to do one thing. Let me create an audio track, and I'm gonna take the output of the snare group. I'm just gonna record one of those real quick. And there we go. Now we can also see it. I mean, it looks pretty good. Like, the transient is maybe not that heavy, but it sounds fine in the mix. Like, we might even do a little bit of transient shaping here to get the transient a little bit bigger. But, yeah, it sounds good. But you can see as well, like, the clap is now a little bit... It starts a little bit later than where I aligned it. But that's because of that track delay, and that just really worked. So much purple! Thanks, mate. It looks beautiful. I agree. So I'm gonna do this and just do that. It almost sounds like a really processed 808 snare. Which is nice. It sounds good. Let's consolidate that. And then I can throw that into a sampler to use for the fill. Let me just turn that track off. Might need it later. And then I just take this MIDI onto this track. Now, I'm gonna turn it into a sampler instead, because simpler for some reason messes with the high end of the sample that you put into it. So if it's a sample that has like pretty nice high end that you made, like a hi-hat for instance, and you put it in a simpler, it will mess with the high end. And it is because of this interpolation that sampler has that drop down menu here. but Simpler doesn't have it, and the normal interpolation is what Simpler also uses. And what it does is it messes with the high end a bit. So I just turn this to none, and that way it will not change the sample at all. It will literally just play the sample the way it is. And then we just give it a bit of release. So we get the full sample. We don't need a filter. We do want to have it velocity sensitive, so I'm just going to increase that a bit. And then we need to, yeah, really bring this down, because for some reason it also goes higher than this then. Just eyeball it a little bit here so that it's sort of like roughly at 0. There we go. And then we don't need this one. So now we have a fill that is pretty much the same as the main snare. Or very similar to it, it's just without that first part of the clap. But what kind of a drop? Like currently, I'm still tempted to play it with this vocal because it fits so much better. But it's, yeah, it's so copyrighted, so it will give us issues if we do that. Maybe if I do, maybe if we make it into, a weird sounding vocal, it will work. We'll just do that. Hopefully that won't lead to copyright issues. Maybe that works. Let's see. Nothing yet? No copyright claim yet? Because it actually tells you in your YouTube dashboard when it claims the audio. It doesn't, it's not claiming the audio. Nice. Okay. Copyright avoidance YouTube hack, exactly. Just pitch shift it really weird, and you're gonna be able to get away with it. Still nothing? Oh, it still hasn't done anything. Monetization is still on. Let's go. Let's go. But that vocal works so much better to kind of hear what it sounds like with a vocal. That sound pack vocal is just so shit.
I want you to stay. I want you to stay. I want you to stay.
Okay, fuck you. You're also gonna be
I want you to stay. 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 I want you to stay.
Let's group that. Duplicate.
I want you to stay. 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 I want you to stay.
Let's do... Wait, I have an idea. Let's grab... Let's see what we're gonna get. I'm gonna try something out. Let's grab a spectral resonator. Can you do a video about different workflow in D&B making? I mean, that's what this is, right? Oh wait, maybe I should do it on the group. Let's drop it on here. So now it sounds like that, really shitty. Let's go and take the audio from the saw plug channel, which is the one with the double notes. And let's turn this into polyphonic. Pre-effects. Let's group that. Let's create another chain. I love that sound. It's such a cool, weird. Let's see what happens if we add some distortion to it. What should we use? Trash 2. It's a bit much, but... I do like that sort of like screechiness that it starts getting, and that will be an extra layer. So that's really nice. Maybe even be able to use that as a layer in the drop as well for some sound. But let's see if we can find a nice setting in trash here. That one kind of works, citrus pulp. That's a bit much. Let's try one of these. Like, it does get really weird because it's two pitches being distorted together, so you get like weird inharmonic harmonics. Inharmonic harmonics, yeah, that's what we're getting. See, so it doesn't always work, but depending on the distortion type, you get different ones, so sometimes they will work. Like, for instance, this one works pretty well. So it's like finding an interesting one. The faulty ones are pretty interesting as well. But that gets really weird. Ooh. Bit of reverb on it, maybe? Let's do Valhalla Room. Let's do it in between the two. Let's see what happens. Don't think that did that much. Let's do it after it. It's so weird. Get all these weird things happening, but let's see. Press the shit out of it. So we went from two. That's way bigger now. So let's try that. It's better at 12, I think.
I want you to stay, I want you to stay. I want you to stay, I want you to stay. I want you to stay, I want you to stay. I want you to stay, I want you to stay.
Let's try doing this one after the group, so the entire thing is. Try 7. That's so weird. But it does somehow work. Yeah, here we might wanna do a little filter on it. Because we're getting a bit of that distortion coming through in here, which is maybe not what we want. See, that's better. Okay, save. I still want to remake this plug because it's getting really messy, and that is, yeah, I showed it earlier as well, but I can show you again. It's really simple. It's basically in the patch I have two different octaves. I have two oscillators and they are different octaves, so they're 1 octave apart. So this MIDI, we're basically getting this. And you can see how messy that MIDI is. You can see that there's a couple of sections where there's one semitone, two notes that are a semitone apart. Well, that's what we're actually getting in the in what is coming out of the synth, because of the fact that there's two different octaves in that synth. So I still want to redo it at some point to kind of get basically just have the bass notes, I guess, double up, and then the higher ones are a little bit less. Oh. And then some of the high ones are not doubled up, so that we don't get that semitone interval. Yeah, I know. It's midnight. Which means I need to work in 12 hours. So I still have a bit of time. Well, this thing, it still needs to be weirder in my opinion, though. This, like, that's why I also want to remake it so that I can do that. But it's good for now. It has the vibe, it has the chords that we need. So, and that vocal is gonna change completely because I want something much more in kind of a vocal style similar to what this acapella does. I'll play it again with the with the fucked pitch shifting.
Some people are a lot like clouds, you know. 'Cause they're so much brighter when they go. You read them hard for far too long.
Because otherwise we're gonna get copyright claimed. But it needs to be a vocal that's much more, you know, energetic than this one, and it needs to be not cheesy lyrics like the one that I have here, if you get what I mean. But vocal is whatever. Vocal is whatever at this point. It's just there. Okay, let's go here. Kick, let's do a little volume automation in this area here. It's a bit much. bum, bum, something weird. We need to have definitely that whole chord kind of feeling needs to continue in the drop. But I feel like a weird like sustained thing first, and then like weird pitch shifting, pitch bending things at the end of the phrase, like really quick sort of like octave jumps in like a section. Yeah, you heard what I was doing. or or did you mean the minus 420 dB automation? I was gonna say the person who saw it saw it. The people who know that there is now a minus 420 decibel volume automation on the kick drum. Little Easter egg. I'm gonna leave it. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm gonna leave it. The people who were here tonight will know that forever as an Easter egg. Make the plugs weirder with vibrato that automates in might sound cursed. Yeah, like it needs to be weirder indeed. It needs to be weirder a bit more how do you say it? Just a bit more interesting and different, right? Right now it's a bit too much right now it's a bit too much like main room or big room EDM kind of pop music vibes, which it's definitely going to be a track like that, honestly. Don't get me wrong. It's a little it's a little bit sad boy vibes, right? Which is cool. I'm all for it. But it's a bit too much like too simple still with the plugs, I feel. Yeah, sounds clean though. Exactly. And the chord progression is really good, and that's what matters. It's like right now it's mostly just still sound design what I'm doing, right? I'm just sound designing and I'm just kind of arranging it as I go. And then at some point I'll go back through it and I'll probably take some layers out, and the layers that will be left are the ones that make up the main core of the idea, and then I'll have the main things that I like. I'll leave that, and all the things that I don't like will probably go away, and then it's all just a matter of like, okay, how do I now make this better, right? And that's just how you then finish the track, I guess. Like that's what I have a ton of tracks in a similar style like this right now, so it's just a bit of like I'm working on like making the ones that fit together, and I need a couple ones in this style because then I have a whole release ready to finish. Now I have like a couple of tracks in this style, and then I have a ton of other ones as well that I can turn into this style easily. So. And it's definitely more me because I did this kind of stuff allows for using a lot more cinematic things and like melodies and harmonies, and that's a lot more me because I like doing that. I love that kind of stuff. So it just doesn't need to be too corny, and that it becomes really quickly that because of these sample pack vocals. That's the main issue. But whatever. Like, what if I play it without vocals? Well, just appreciate the instrumental. Yeah, actually, now I do that. That string layer here, I don't like how quick that feels. I don't like that one. That feels better though. I want to double it up here though with some bass layer because I had a bass layer here which I took out because I think it would be it's gonna be nice if we have, like, instead of a synth bass, have basically bass here. And then, oh wait, it's gonna be maybe that beat. See. Oh yeah, that's just doing the same thing again. So that's okay. Let's grab a bit of volume automation on this one because it's a bit. Let's see. It's quite nice. I can try. What's nicer? The lower octave or the higher one? And this is definitely bigger. I don't wanna. Should I try out that A sharp instead? That also works. These are both A sharp as well. Huh? Nah, we're gonna go back to the B instead. Oh, I could do A sharp though, but then this one needs to go to C sharp. Let's see what that does. That also works. Yeah, like we can mess with this pattern as well. So what I want to try is I'm gonna drop this here. Let's see if we can do a different pattern on the top melody. So let's see. Fuck. Let's do it like that. Let's see. Like, there's so many options we can do with this. But I'm not gonna do it now. I could do a little. Let's see if we can make the plugs more interesting. What are we gonna add on to it? Should we do? Oh, I have one actually that is really weird. That sometimes can make this kind of stuff really interesting. Let's save before I do anything. This thing do pretty much the same thing that gross beat does. So if we, for instance, do something weird like this. So you get all kinds of weird. change the ah, perfect. I made a bunch of changes since last stream. Yeah, that's right. Like I can also just go through some of the presets, of course. I don't think there's that many. That's what I mean. You got weird shit. So it already becomes weird. So yeah, it basically just reorganizes the it's weird. I don't know how to describe it. Basically, this just equals the bars or the beats right now. So this is just one beat, 8 beats total. And then you just rearrange the sequence by changing it, so you can see right here as well. So this is just how much it changes. So it just picks a different section from what is supposed to be playing here, from whatever is running through it. Hard to describe, but some yeah, it's quite interesting. You can do some weird shit with it. Oh fuck, I dropped it too high. Yeah, I know, the curve, when it's curved, it will actually speed up or slow down depending on where the curve is going and how it's curved. But if you just have a straight line, it's just gonna rearrange, basically. It's not gonna do anything to the pitch or speed. But as soon as you have like lines that are like curved, yeah, it will. And you can make like a tape stop effect if you want. Like if you curve it like with a, if you bend the curve, then it will get like a more tape stop kind of effect. But by making really subtle changes, you get these really weird, which can be nice, you know. It's something that is very yeah. You have to really play with it and. How do I remove these altogether? Oh, clear points. You hear there's a little curve there, we don't really see it, but there's a little part where it's curved right here, and that creates that little weird part there, which kind of works. So I don't like that. But it's a little weird as well, right? It's whatever. Ooh, could also do a little. That's interesting. Let's see what happens if we do that. doesn't. Yeah, that one. It's kind of cool as well. Yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna check what I'm gonna do with the drop. That's gonna be for another stream, I guess. Because I have to stop streaming. I need to work tomorrow. It's already half an hour past midnight. So, thanks for being here. We made some good drums though, so I can now start working on this and sort of like copy this over a bunch of times and start working on some variations. Because these drums are gonna work. Can still be a little bit cleaner on the snare maybe, but like they're definitely getting there. Just a little bit more, you know, a little bit more shaping and tightening up, but that's just I'll have to do that when I have more of the drop as well, so I can hear like how it's all sitting in the mix. But it's definitely better. Yeah, it was just a little extra stream, you know. I'll be back again on Friday, 8:30 p.m. Amsterdam time. So if you wanna come join upcoming Friday, be there. I'll continue working on this probably. I'll be in the Discord for a little bit afterwards. So if you are not a member yet, then go to the Discord. But yeah, thanks for being here. So I'll play this while we end, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Oh. Peace.
I want you to stay. 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 I want you to stay.